You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what He actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Saturday, happy Saturn day, and welcome to kind of a special edition of transits today. I don't normally go live on the weekends, but yesterday we were so focused on Leo season and the energy that the next month brings that we didn't get to the weekend forecast, and there's a lot of fun stuff to talk about. So let's hang out for a bit. Weekend Astro Crew. Hey there. Good morning, Rose. Hi, Angela, starting at 11:11 today here in the Pacific time zone. And I hope your weekend's off to a beautiful start so far. If you're joining me live, let me know what you have on tap for this weekend as we start talking through the energy. So the sun is now in Leo. It's officially Leo season. It's here. And I just realized yesterday I was wearing my animal print. Today I just was gravitating towards red. What's more Leo season than red or animal print? And the moon is in Gemini all weekend. So we're feeling social this weekend. We're feeling outgoing. We're craving interaction, new information. That's going to be the common theme of the weekend. Communication is big. Learning is big. We have a lot of big transits. And I say that because Jupiter is making several connections this weekend. Thank you, the fiery red, channeling that fire energy. So let's talk about what's happening today. We have Mercury forming a trine to Jupiter. Remember, Mercury is now in Leo, so really tapping into that Leo energy with our mindset. For the last week, Mercury has been moving through Leo, and Mercury in Leo brings bold ideas. It brings fiery communication, but also remember, as we talked about yesterday, Leo rules the heart space. So we're all more passionate, more loving. Our thoughts and words are really tied to what's on our heart. Jupiter is in Aries, and Jupiter in Aries is big. We've been talking about Jupiter in Aries now for several months, and in the next few weeks, Jupiter will station retrograde sometime in Virgo season, I believe. I've got to double check that. Actually, let me tell you, while we're on the subject, when does Jupiter station retrograde? I feel like it's good to know. You know what? Jupiter stations retrograde on Thursday, and we didn't talk about that yesterday. Somehow, maybe I'm in denial. I don't want Jupiter to station retrograde. So that's something we'll definitely be talking about on Thursday. But definitely keep in mind, especially right now when Jupiter's making all these connections this weekend, Jupiter's kind of at this still point. Anytime a planet stations retrograde, it slows down. So Jupiter is definitely slowing down, and there's a lot more focus on the planet of abundance and luck and optimism. I can see today being a day where we're having like big realizations or philosophical conversations with Mercury harmonizing with Jupiter. This trine and fire signs really brings up our passions. Our mental state is benefiting from optimism, faith, and these conversations, these interactions we're having today will really feel good for the soul. But it does feel with Jupiter now slowing down like there's this pause almost. There's this moment in time that we're focusing on the big picture. Jupiter's all about the big picture, not just you and me, but the meaning of life, like really big ideas. I will say, though, with this happening in fire signs, we're excited by spontaneous ideas. There could be these like insights that come through that we're like, yes, we just want to run with these things. Maybe you want to book a trip or make big plans based on this thought or idea that comes through today. It's all about bold communication, and sharing what's truly on our heart with Mercury and Leo can lead to good fortune. Jupiter is all about good fortune. This angle, this trine is all about good fortune. So expect your conversations, your thoughts, even the words you're writing today to feel abundant. Even if you're not in social situations, although you'll probably be drawn to social situations all weekend just because of what's going on with the planets and, Leo season, we want to get loud, we want to put ourselves out there. But yeah, even if you're not around other people, maybe you are drawn to writing or listening. You're listening to a podcast that brings through this new awareness, this new level of understanding. It's a good weekend to expand your mind for sure. Yeah, fun day to go live on a Saturday. Maybe you're all hanging out at home for the morning. Well, I'm assuming most of you are at home who are watching this live, but I just wanted to talk about the weekend with you all. My community, the sun's in my 11th house. What can I say? I'm really drawn to networking through technology, all about the 11th house. So that's what we're feeling today, specifically right now, because this trine is exact as of 10:52 a.m. Pacific time. So we are really feeling this. And of course, I'm like, I need to go live right now, Mercury being my ruling planet. I want to be expressive and I want to be around my community, share my ideas. Jupiter is very much about sharing the abundance. So share the realizations you're having, share what's on your heart, share your ideas today. Now, the moon being in Gemini, I'll leave the chart up here because you can see what's going to happen around 3 o'clock this afternoon. The moon, once it hits 8 degrees, is perfectly situated between this trine of Mercury and Jupiter. So the Gemini moon becomes the focal point of this trine today. And of course, the Gemini moon's all about communication, sharing ideas, learning new information, talking with other people, cracking open a new book. The Gemini moon is definitely feeding into the energy we just talked about. And this is called a minor grand trine or a minor trine if you want to, be technical. But it's not the full grand trine we talk about, but because the moon is in an air sign and Mercury and Jupiter are in fire signs, they work together well. And these are supportive angles. The moon is forming to both Mercury and Jupiter. It's like our mindset feels abundant today. And sharing our emotions, talking about our emotions can play into that good fortune we just talked about, which is really awesome. I don't think I've seen a transit since we started this show that it's like one big energy for the day. Like this is it. That's the only connection the Gemini moon is making. And we're really focused on this trine between Mercury and Jupiter. I'm curious how you guys are feeling, how your mindset is feeling. If you're feeling more optimistic, more abundant, I would guess you are because of this energy right now, especially as we started Leo season. We're getting all pumped up. What plans you have today. Maybe you're really craving being around other people. Thank you so much, Alexandra. You're so sweet to say that. So yeah, the Gemini moon too. It's a nice time to take a look at where Gemini is in your chart, maybe emotionally where you're being drawn to right now, and what areas of your chart in general that this trine is playing out in. But all of us definitely feeling a little bit chattier today, a little bit more expansive, willing to push the boundaries of our minds a little bit more. And today's affirmation is, I am open to new ideas. Simple as that. All we have to do is stay open to new conversations, open to new ideas, and you could have a big, profound aha moment today with the energy that's playing out. It might not be, this, we've been talking a lot about deep things coming up, right? I don't see this energy as really, you might be reflecting on some of the deep things that came up as we've been talking about in the past week, but I see this being more like what else is out there? What else can we explore? What other information can we grasp? What books can we crack open? You know, if there's been a book that's been sitting on your shelf, and I'm looking at my shelf with a lot of books that I've intended to crack open and haven't yet, I think a lot of us are guilty of that, right? Like, ooh, I want to read this, and then it's really pretty on my shelf. But I ask that because maybe you don't have a ton of plans today, but you can still expand your mind on your own. You can still have that conversation with the author by cracking open a new book and really drinking in the realizations that this author has had and is publishing and sharing with you. So stay open to new ideas. Now let's talk about what's going on Sunday. We're still hanging out with Jupiter, and Jupiter is not moving much because remember, Jupiter stations retrograde on Thursday. So let me fast forward on our chart here a day, and you'll see the next connection that Jupiter is making is a square to Venus. So you can see Venus over here in Cancer and Jupiter in Aries. They're both in cardinal signs. They're both wanting to lead, and there can be a clash in energy here. But even in a tense transit like this, when Jupiter is involved, there is the potential for good fortune, optimism, good vibes. However, when the moon squares Jupiter, when any planet squares Jupiter, there's a tendency to overdo it. So with Venus being on the other end of this square, be careful of overindulging on Sunday. This transit is exact late Sunday night, actually right around 11:11 p.m. on Sunday night Pacific time. So Sunday night, you might be winding down from your weekend. Maybe you've had all these expansive conversations and interactions and you're feeling good. And you're like, I just want that ice cream sundae late at night or whatever it is. I really see this like overdoing it with food. Anytime Venus is involved, especially with Venus in Cancer, we are craving indulgent food for sure. I could see us definitely going overboard in the food department and the dessert department on Sunday night. It's like Jupiter in Aries is like, just do it. You know, we're optimistic. We just want to go for it and start something. And Venus in Cancer is like, I'm just craving comfort. I'm drawn to comfort. So you can see the quick reach for a comfort food, a comfort situation, falling back into your comfort zone very easily. The nice thing is that Jupiter is an expansive energy. It amplifies and expands everything it connects to. So there is part of us, especially because we'll be pulling away from that trine between Mercury and Jupiter, that still wants to be expansive and grow. And that can kind of help us come back to, is this impulse really going to support that growth? You know, that's something to keep in mind when you're just wanting the sweet treat or the quick fix. Also, there's just a tendency to overdo it in general. Maybe you're really enjoying the company of others, and on Sunday night, you're just wanting to keep the party going, keep pushing it, you know, but really check in with your heart and honor yourself for sure. The moon in Gemini is going to keep us chatty and social too. So just the big warning label from this transit is try not to overdo it. We could be easily persuaded by other people to like, oh, just stay a little bit longer, you know, because we want to relate to people. We want to hold that safe space for people with Venus in Cancer. And Jupiter is going to really amplify Venus's energy. We could also be like overly affectionate with Jupiter squaring Venus. Like maybe if I could see this if you're dating or in a new relationship, you just kind of being like, this is what I want, and like blurting it out. Who else has been guilty of that? Like just kind of oversharing. I tend to be an oversharer in relationships. So watch out for that as well. Overspending with Venus ruling our money. If you decide to go shopping this weekend, especially on Sunday, just, you know, limit yourself a little bit, okay? We don't want to overdo it and then have a hangover on Monday, whether it's a shopping hangover, a sugar hangover, an alcohol hangover, even a socialization hangover. We want to start the week off on a good note. Now, I will say, because this is happening so late at night, we could still be feeling this on Monday morning. And this on a Monday morning would actually be a nice little like push, you know, push to go out there and get it. So maybe depending on where you live, this transit works in your favor. And in general, there is a lot of positive to this square between Venus and Jupiter. We are more generous. We want to share with others. We want to relate to others. It makes it really easy to be around other people. It's just also really easy to overdo it. So hot in New York. Maybe more people are home in the AC today. It's hot in California too. Gosh, it's been in the hundreds, I think, all week long here in Northern California. So hopefully you're all staying cool and staying healthy. I will say, as we're talking about overindulging, it's kind of easy, Venus and Cancer in the sign of the home, when we're home, to reach for those creature comforts, right? Like, well, I can't go out and do anything exciting because it's too hot, so I'm going to overdo it at home through food or whatever else you feel like indulging in. Yeah, nice, easy, positive, and friendly, chatty vibes today through your clients. See, this is the energy, Mercury, Trine, Jupiter right now. It's easy to chat with other people, to explore new topics, to expand our mind. I personally, as someone ruled by Mercury, love this energy right now, and it's just, I think it's positive all the way around personally. Let's talk about what's going on with the moon on Sunday. So before that square between Venus and Jupiter, the moon makes a couple connections. It's the waning crescent moon in Gemini, as we've been talking about. We're more social, more chatty, but it's interesting being in this kind of extroverted social sign because we're in the waning crescent moon. It's all about surrender, release, letting go, and kind of waiting for that new moon energy. So under the waning crescent moon, maybe these conversations you're having are helping you surrender. Maybe it's like surrendering control, not knowing what's going to come up next in the conversation, not knowing what's going to be on the next page of the book you're reading, but just surrendering and trusting that the information that you need is coming to you when you need it. The conversations you need to have are happening when you need to have them. I really see the waning crescent moon as trusting and letting go. And sometimes when we're really stuck in our mental state, as we're very mentally activated this weekend with, Mercury forming that trine to Jupiter with the moon in Gemini, our mental state is busy, but try not to get too fixated on, being in control of our mental state. Just trust that whatever you need to know, whatever you need to think, whatever ideas you need to have are coming to you when they need to come to you. And also releasing and surrendering can come very easily through those conversations and even through journaling, having a conversation with yourself. Tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, the moon forms a sextile to Chiron. So you can see that on our chart. The moon in Gemini forming a nice sextile to Chiron in Aries. This is a little after that will happen. And of course, Chiron's just an icy outer body in our solar system, not a major planet, but Chiron is known as the wounded healer. And with the moon in Gemini, I feel called to point out the fact that Chiron was, in mythology, very educated and constantly learning new healing modalities to try to heal himself. And the curse of Chiron was essentially that he never could heal himself, but he learned how to heal all the people around him by trying. So Chiron for us individually represents our deepest wounds, what we are trying to heal. And once we can master that, we can also help other people heal the same thing. We're really making sense on Sunday with so much mental activation, so much expansion happening. We're making sense of the healing happening now for us as the moon gets this support from Chiron. We might even be learning about new healing modalities. That could be those expansive conversations we're talking about. The new information coming to us could be new methods of healing, which is so beautiful. Also, remember that you sharing your own experience, sharing your light, sharing what's on your heart, as we talked about so much yesterday at the beginning of Leo season, can be a healing catalyst for other people too. So we've talked a bunch about Jupiter today. Jupiter is all about sharing, and the moon in Gemini, it puts the focus on sharing information. You sharing authentically what has been helpful for you along your healing, even if you're not there. Remember, healing is not a destination, it's a journey, right? But if you found anything helpful along your journey, sharing that with other people can be so powerful. It could be something that unlocks, the next step of their own healing journey. So don't be afraid to share even the woo-woo things that have helped you out, or even just by sharing where you're at and being honest about your healing journey. you could better understand where you're actually at. We've talked about those of us who are verbal processors before, and the moon in Gemini definitely makes us want to process our emotions through our words. Sometimes just processing what's going on with you can help you make better sense of it. And the final connection happening with the moon this weekend is at 9 p.m. Sunday night. And yet again, we're in this weird situation where Saturn is actually kind of helping us out for once. The moon is harmonizing with Saturn on Sunday night. So remember how we talked about being overly indulgent, overdoing it, reaching for the quick fix. The moon harmonizing with Saturn, it's about 9 p.m. Pacific time, is actually going to help us be more responsible and easily find our own limits and boundaries. Boundaries have been coming up for a lot of people as well, a lot of our regulars in the chat. Sunday night, Saturn is like, oh, hey, remember, these are your boundaries, and we can easily attune to them with this nice flowing angle between the moon and Saturn. And Saturn is retrograde, so there is an element of maybe reflecting on your own boundaries, or just reflecting on your own responsibilities, maybe past lessons that you've learned as we're doing a lot of this expansion. The moon harmonizing with Saturn on Sunday night really helps us reflect on the past and honor what we already know, honor our own boundaries, our own limits, as we were saying. Just really helpful to limit us from going overboard, to kind of be that inner parent, be more responsible, be more mature, and kind of, just act not too overboard. That was not very eloquent, but you know what I mean. Just Saturn is helping us out. Saturn is actually helping us out for once. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Loving the vibe, getting some on-point, beautiful goals, just enjoying that mental love. Yes. Yeah, it's a really nice weekend for our mental state, I will say, especially coming out of Cancer season. There was a lot of heaviness that came up, and a lot of emotions were very much in our bodies during Cancer season, feeling all the feels. Leo season is like, okay, what's on your heart? And specifically the transits this weekend, it's like share and be in your head a little bit, but not in your head in the sense of like you're so in your head, but like positive self-talk. Yes, this weekend. Positive talk to other people, 100%. It's like we're easily able to lean into the optimism in our mental state, which we love. All right, let's finish out with a tarot pull. We're going to pull 2 cards today for Saturday and Sunday and just see what comes through. I'm going to pull from the Everyday Tarot deck. And I always give the disclaimer, I am not a tarot expert. I just read what the guidebook says and trust that whatever message is going to come through is the one we need to hear, which is very much what this weekend is about. So as I'm shuffling up, this is your chance to ask any final questions. Let me know what you're up to this weekend, how you're going to use this expansive energy. If you have any social outings planned, I would love to know what you're up to. And we'll see if the universe has any other guidance for us. All right, let's take a deep breath. Breathe in. What do we need to know? 5 of Swords is our first card, and the 6 of Swords is our second card. Interesting. Okay. Both of them pulled in reverse. So let's see what they have for us. The 5 of Swords for our Saturday card. After a period of conflict, you are ready for change. Apologize, ask for forgiveness, and make amends so that you can move on and create a more fertile ground for new ideas and collaboration. Interesting. We just talked about coming out of Cancer season. There was a lot of intensity that came up this weekend. I know this card for sure is calling me out personally, but maybe this is the time under the waning Gemini moon that you are kind of reflecting and tying up any loose ends so that under this week's new moon in Leo, you are walking on more fertile ground. And I love how this talks about new ideas and collaboration. Make sure you're not holding yourself back by clinging on to resentment from being able to expand under such an expansive energy this weekend. So maybe the loving conversations you need to have, the emotions that are on your heart that you're trying to share right now, do involve owning up some of your own realizations, or owning up to some of your own realizations, I should say, and being raw and honest and authentic. And expansion can come from having that self-awareness of like, you know what, I'm a better person now. I've had this realization. I'm going to share it with you. And of course, we've talked about healing as well. How healing is it to just own your own experience and be in your power? I really feel that forgiveness is a gift we give to ourselves, and it's very empowering to forgive other people. Okay, the Six of Swords in reverse for our Sunday card. You are resisting change and seek what is familiar. What did we talk about? Venus squaring Jupiter. Even though it's not in your best interest, this change may not have been your choice either. Go within and reaffirm to yourself why you need to make this transition. I just see this as like, it's really easy to reach for familiar territory, reach for familiar comforts when Jupiter squares Venus. But also, we have the moon forming a sextile to Chiron on Sunday. We have the moon harmonizing with Saturn on Sunday. And this really speaks to the go within and reaffirm to yourself why you need to make this transition. Maybe you're reflecting on those past lessons. Maybe you're reflecting on your healing. And maybe you're realizing, oh, reaching for the quick fix, the thing that feels good in the moment, isn't actually for my best interest. It's interesting that we pulled two cards in reverse that are more warnings, if you will. But I really feel like these messages are coming through to show us, hey, maybe these are the things holding you back from expansion. So this is a super expansive energy. Just check in with yourself, check in with how you're holding yourself back, check in with the resentment you're holding towards other people, and go within. This Leo season, find that love within and really reflect on what is best for me moving forward as the new moon is coming up, as I'm getting ready to set new intentions and continue my own transformation. All right, everybody, that's going to do it for this episode, this weekend special Transits Today episode. I'll be back on Monday morning with a look at the energy of the week ahead. And I hope you are all having a beautiful, safe weekend. I hope that you're leaning into the energy of expansion. I love seeing you all on a Saturday morning, seeing what you're all up to. Thanks for being here, Rose. And I just appreciate you all. Thanks for showing up for yourself. Thanks for showing up for this beautiful community that we are creating together every day. We are very close to the 888 subscriber mark. So if you're new to the channel, please go ahead and subscribe. Once we hit 888, I'm going to announce a giveaway for everybody who has subscribed to the channel so far. So feeling generous, feeling optimistic, please subscribe so you can be entered to win the giveaway too. I love you all. I will see you here on Monday morning, but until then, stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.